Ladies and gents, welcome back. It's happening. It's happening. We asked for our freedoms back, and they said, I guess we'll allow that. Yesterday, Bonnie Henry and Adrian Dix took to the airwaves to tell everybody an announcement. Watching Bonnie Henry walking back their ridiculous health orders, knowing it's a political move and way overdue in BC is embarrassing. I wrote on Twitter. Here's Bonnie Henry back. Here's some footage from the Ministry of Truth. Here's her throughout the pandemic and her opinions on masks.
Irritating, and people are more likely to touch their face when they have a mask on, and that can be a way of inoculating yourself. If I'm not sick, it's not effective. It's not something that when I'm out in public, it's going to protect me in any way. So we don't want people wearing it all day long, for example. We cannot rely on a mask because the mask is not what keeps us safe. And masks for long periods of time are not recommended by anybody in any situation.
We're not wearing masks now. Would we be safer right now if we had masks on?
No, you see, these are the things that we have learned.
I've always supported wearing masks. I've never said don't wear them. I've always said wear them where it's appropriate.
I've always said wear them. that's Bonnie Henry in the here and now. I've always said wear them. Now they have lifted these restrictions as of March 11th in British Columbia. You're no longer required to wear a mask in indoor locations around the province. I think there are a few exceptions. That's just at the discretion of hospitals and whatnot, depending on the ward. But I don't think that falls under these measures anyhow. Also effective on April 8th, 2022 at 12:01 a.m. These timelines are just hilarious to me. Just why not just Band-Aid it? Rip it all off at once. But no, we got a timeline, you know. Give us our freedom back. Okay, well, here's a timeline for how we're going to get that to you. Effective Friday, April 8th, 2022 at 12:01. BC vaccine card no longer required. So that QR code, the thing that everybody was actually worried about in this whole scenario, will no longer be required as of April 8th. They're scrapping it. Business transition from COVID-19 safety to communicable disease plan. That's the scaling down of the business regulations. Post-secondary residence vaccine requirement will be also lifted. Now, this is happening all over Canada, folks. We have great news. Approximately 750 Alberta Health Service employees who are on leave without pay because of their choice not to be vaccinated against COVID-19 will be allowed back to work by the end of this month. Now, Katie Sexton taking exception with that, saying, yeah, this is great news. Now, only if the federal government and airlines would follow suit. I got my termination notice on Monday. So that's because of the unions saying that they're not obligated to grieve Air Canada's decision to enforce federal vaccine mandates, the Labor Board ruled. Air Canada's largest flight attendant union was not obligated to file a grievance on behalf of some members who opposed the airline's enforcement of the Trudeau government's vaccine mandate. The federal labor board has ruled. Last August, the Liberal government announced that it would require all employees of both federal government and federally regulated industries such as air, rail, marine transportation to be fully vaccinated for COVID-19 by the end of October in order to keep working. By fully vaccinated, current standard is 2 shots of the I think 3 different of one of the 3 different variants of vaccines that they have available for people to get in the following weeks. And faced with concerns from some airline employees, Canada Union of Public Employees, COOP, as you would know it, Airline or Air Canada component leadership obtained two separate legal opinions on the matter, according to Canada Industrial Relations Board ruling published early this year. The ruling says both opinions confirmed that the airline's new policy would likely withstand a challenge through grievance arbitration. So union leadership said it would instead focus on supporting members with individual grievances should they face discipline as a result of the vaccine status. Remember that remember this statement. There will grievances on an individual basis. They go on to say, but a group of union members, including flight attendant Ingrid Watson, who is unvaccinated at the time of the hearing, wanted CUPE to grieve the union employer vaccination policy. The ruling explained. When the union repeatedly refused, Watson complained to the Federal Labor Relations Board, claiming that COOP and ACC was acting in a manner that was arbitrary, discriminatory, and in bad faith, and it was not fulfilling its duty to fairly represent her and her supporting colleagues. Now, what we see here in this case is we have union bosses and the bosses colluding together against the employees. Tell me please, what is the point of a union at this point? Later in the article, we have Marc Bourdreau. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. A labor law expert at Montreal area law firm said in an interview that it is an excellent ruling, and that he believes that the union did the proper due diligence before deciding not to contest Air Canada's vaccine policy as a whole. Rich lawyer from Quebec talking about why employees don't have the right to fight against the policy as a whole. There are people who believe that the union is obligated to lead a grievance to the very end, but that decision actually lies in the hands of both the union and the worker, he said. A union cannot defend everyone and sometimes has to make a choice. So those individual basis, the union needs to make a choice on whether they do anything at all. In that case, after doing some research and receiving two legal opinions, the union concluded that it believed in vaccination and that some employees were affected by the new policy. They would conduct individual grievances, he added. So they believe in vaccination, but they didn't touch on what people's actual fundamental rights in this case actually are. Now, this is my opinion. I think people at this stage of the game, we have in British Columbia, for example, we have 93% vaccination rate in adults. If at this point we're at the end of the pandemic, we're in endemic stage, why aren't we doing antibody tests on the people who feel that it's too invasive to be giving them a treatment? If we're actually in the interest of getting people back to work, let's do antigen tests or antibody tests to see those who already have antibodies in their system. This is from, this one from John Hopkins, hopkinsmedicine.org. Natural immunity, what you need to know. Down at the bottom of the article. Now, I want to state that when they're asked, should you hold off from getting a COVID vaccine to see if there is research on natural immunity, they say holding off on getting a vaccine is not a good idea. And here's why. They say they give a lot of reasons why not. But John Hopkins did do research. So this article is from a little while ago, but they did do research back in November 2021. John Hopkins has conducted a large study on natural immunity and shows that antibody levels against COVID-19 coronavirus stay higher for a long time in people who are infected by the virus. and then people who were infected by the virus and then were fully vaccinated with mRNA vaccines. Vaccine compared to those who only got immunized. The results of the study were published in a letter to the Journal of the American Medical Association. So, in a sense, if you got the virus, you'll have antibodies, and in some cases, they found that the immune properties are higher in those who are naturally infected. So this calls into question why we're not doing these tests for the remaining members of employees on the federal level. Why aren't we just doing these tests and getting them through, or straight up just drop the mandates? I mean, we're at a time and a place where this is no longer needed, in my opinion. We should be moving on. Anyways, keep on trucking.